Hi, my name is Dr. Liz Musil, and I'd like to welcome you to this presentation, which is on leadership power and leadership politics. The purpose of this presentation is to provide you with new insights into the power and politics so you can make a better use of power and politics in leadership. So to function effectively, leaders must use power effectively, including applying political tactics to acquire and retain power. Power in leadership. Leadership is influence. Influence is power. There are a variety of types of leadership power. First of all, there's position power, which is the power that is inherent with your job title or position. This is the most standard and typical method of classifying power. Power can stem from the organization or the individual, and there's three different types of position power. First, there's legitimate power, and that's power granted by an organization. This is maybe because of someone's position, who they supervise, and their job title. It is where they are in the organization ladder or hierarchy. Then there's reward power. Reward power is the authority to give rewards to workers and employees. Finally, there's coercive power. Coercive power is, on the negative side, the power to punish those who do not adequately meet their jobs or their objectives. So that is more of a tactical strategy to keep people in line. Then there's personal power. Personal power stems from the characteristics or behaviors of the power in you individually. There's expert power, referent power, and prestige power. They are derived from the person rather than the organization. For example, prestige power is the power that an individual holds from one's status and reputation. Ownership power. Ownership power depends on how closely the owner is linked to the shareholders or board members in an organization. Dependency power. Dependency power is power that a person gains by others being dependent on him or her for the things that they value. So it can be positional or personal. The power from capitalizing on opportunities. As a leader and as an individual, you can gain power by capitalizing on opportunities. For example, investments, information, knowledge management all contribute to opportunities that can increase someone's status or power. There's another kind of power that is gained when you're able to manage critical problems. Others in the organization will look to you as a troubleshooter to take the organization forward. There's power that is gained from being close to power. If you have relationships with power makers in your organization or within your culture or in your field, you can have insider information, you can have, and I don't mean stock trading or anything like that, but you can have, access to information and data and opportunities that others a little bit more on the outside do not. So it's important to note that as a leader, you don't want to cross the line and use your power negatively as self-serving behavior only to help yourself or to hurt others. You always want to be an ethical leader, and you want to use your power as the power of good. Becoming empowered as a leader. Sharing power and influence with others increases the power of a leader. You wouldn't think so, but hoarding power does not increase the power of leader or leadership. It is only sharing power that moves the group as a whole to a more powerful position. So ways to do this is to share credit, to share decision-making power, empowering others, as being influential. In a competitive environment, it's building a strong team that collaborates and works as a unit together. So, a study found that empowering leadership, influencing top management team processes, improves the performance of the team. As the whole performance of the team increases, everybody's power becomes greater. There are 4 parts to empowerment: meaning, competence, emotional intelligence, and impact and commitment. Meaning is the value of a work goal evaluated in relation to someone's ideas or standards. A person that is doing what they feel is important to them is likely to feel empowered. Competence, or doing your work well, is an individual's belief in his or her capability to perform a task or achieve an objective well. Emotional intelligence is an individual of having choices in initiating and regulating actions. In other words, someone who is emotionally strong enough and intelligent enough to perceive situations and decide the best action that they can take to achieve their objective. Choosing a method to solve a problem leads to a high level of self-determination. Impact and commitment is the degree to which the person feels they can influence the strategy result of a job. Practices that empower. There are several practices that you can utilize to empower. First of all, creating initiative. Encouraging the people that you work with or your team members to take initiative over their behavior and accomplishments gives them greater responsibility. Number 2, aligning tasks to organizational objectives. The more the tasks and the goals of the projects at hand that you're working on align to the overall goals of the organization, the more everyone will feel that there's a congruency and a movement to move forward. Number 3, communicate sufficient information. This is very, very important. Leaders sometimes feel that hoarding information or not sharing everything that is needed is a way to maintain power, but really it's a way to turn people against you. You do need to communicate sufficient information on the organization, on the progress of the goals at hand, on what's going on in the department, and most importantly, people need to be adequately trained and have sufficient information on how to do their job or their tasks. Number 4, do not micromanage. If you're working virtually as well as in a physical location, you don't want to check in someone every 5 minutes or overly often. You want to allow people the responsibility and the freedom to decide how best, what methods and tactics they need to utilize to get to their objective. Number 5, promote individual leadership. Helping people become stronger leaders, giving them confidence and security, skills and tasks does not take away your need to still lead them or manage them, but it gives them greater control and growth that they can need to go ahead and become a stronger performer themselves. So they then, as they become more competent, are going to become more self-confident, happier, more accomplished as an individual. Number 6, create boundaries to empowerment. You need to make sure that everybody knows that there are boundaries to their empowerment. They cannot take over your position. They have to understand what it is they're allowed to do within the confines of their position. Number 7, lead consistently. As a leader, you have to give everyone kind of a consistent focus through your communications, through your behavior, through your reward systems, through your encouragement, through your tasks, that you're consistently and fairly leading people so they can trust you and they can trust the environment they're working in. And finally, embrace diversity. We are working in a global environment. There's diversity generally within organizations, within teams, within people that you have to work with. And it's really important to allow for variances in languages and times and customs and all kinds of things. So embrace diversity, be open. Politics as approaches to gaining power. Politics in organizations refers to the approaches to gaining power through means other than just kind of luck. There are positive and negative views of organizational politics. Politics in organizations can be positive when they're viewed as a means to grant workers resources and support, and that is where you should be leaning because you always want to have a positive collaborative relationship with your team. Factors that contribute to negative expressions of politics can include hierarchical organization structures, where there are limits to power and things are strictly controlled, kind of a Hunger Games kind of structure, which is really becoming more obsolete as organizations are becoming flatter due to technology and the internet. Subjective or unfair performance standards, you need to rate people fairly. Turbulence in a culture. If your culture in the organization is changing and the goals and missions and objectives seem to be different, it can be difficult to lead. Insecurity. People can feel insecure when there's reorganizations or if they feel like they don't have the skill set and the training that they need. Machiavellianism, negative kind of dictatorship is not always good in that. Machiavellian tendencies represent a reason why people engage in politics. They want to behave politically, behave badly, charming, wicked, and disturbing. So you want to evoke trust. That's not the way you want to go. And another downfall, of course, is playing favorites without regard to performance. So, if you have an in-group or an out-group, make sure that it's merit-based and based on the actual contributions in an organization. Strategies and tactics in politics. There is ethical politics and unethical politics. So examples of ethical political strategies and tactics include building relationships, networking, managing information, promoting the organizational vision, doing research to help move the organization forward, being correct and not offensive, embracing diversity, developing positive psychological capital. Unethical examples of strategy in politics, which often backfire in the long run, include backstabbing, divide and conquer strategies which turn employees on each other, setting people up to fail, and all forms of abuse. Recognizing and diffusing dysfunctional cultures. Dysfunctional cultures exist almost everywhere, and sometimes it's a factor of the organization or organizational change. Sometimes the environment and the competitive forces are moving faster than the organization can. And a strong leader needs to kind of mitigate these forces and move the organizational culture to a functional, healthy one. So ways to do that are to promote transparency, incorporate fair recognition and reward systems, treat employees and team members respectfully, foster collaboration, team decision-making, provide opportunities. So in conclusion, successful leadership requires internal development and emotional intelligence. Complex situations can create difficulties, though a strong leader will navigate a group to positivity. Thank you so much for your time and for listening to this presentation.